we had a session that kind of kicked this off last year, and I'm going to kick it off, and I'm not going to speak long because I looked at what Chris Hoydell was talking about, and he's talking about the same thing I was going to talk about, so it gets me off the hook. You may last year we had a session on what's going on with older pipelines, and when we looked at that, we found out, what's going on with new pipelines. So that's kind of what we're focusing on today. Here's just kind of the slide that shows the trend line and all the three major types of pipelines over the last 20 years. We don't need to focus on that. Here's a slide that just shows hazardous liquid pipelines and what the ages are. And I don't know if I'm pleased or concerned to find out that the average pipeline in this country is the same age I am. I know I'm starting to fail, so I don't know what that tells us about our pipelines. But what we saw was that, I've got these out of order, that if you look at failure rates for old pipelines and new pipelines, you find out that you get to see a curve like this, where on the right-hand side is the brand new pipelines, and they have a higher failure rate than old pipelines. And when I was just poking around in the data and came up with this curve, I thought, well, first of all, it surprised me, and I said, well, why is that? And as I went and talked with engineers who know more than I do, which doesn't take much, I learned that they weren't surprised at all about that because it's a well-known engineering phenomenon called the bathtub curve. And here's the bathtub curve, and you see this curve over a whole bunch of things, everything from human life expectancy. Lots of infants or babies die when they're young, and then we all live until we're about my age, and then we die again. Again. Well, people have been telling me I've been dead for years, so So it's, yeah, tomorrow we'll feel like it. So we have the bathtub curve, which kind of explains why it is we see, this curve here. And I think this is hazardous liquid pipelines. If you look at gas transmission pipelines, I pulled this off of PHMSA's website this morning, you kind of see the same curve with new pipelines having lots of failures, and then as they age, they get lots of failures too. In the question was, why is that? I took a look at the causes. Here's the cause, of just gas transmission pipelines incidents, all incidents over whatever that is, the last 5 years. And here's the same graph if you look at gas transmission pipelines where the components failed within 5 years of being installed. And you can see, you get a pretty good sense that what it is, it's a lot of new materials that went on the ground, new equipment, leaks at gaskets and things like that on pumps. So it's a different type of failure mechanism than you see on the other end, where you start seeing more time-related things like corrosion kicking in. But the question wasn't so much, okay, let's explain the bathtub curve. The question is, can we overcome the bathtub curve? And certainly some companies do. You look at a company like Alliance Pipeline has never had an incident. So some companies get it right and they don't have all these things when they first put something in the ground. So that's really the question I was hoping everybody will talk about today, about how do we fix that one end of the bathtub curve.